Hello and welcome to Friday's Granada Reports, live with the latest across the Northwest.
Hello there. On the programme this evening...
The moment a killer was caught. Tonight, praise for the brave woman who gave evidence to the police which helped put Thomas Cashman behind bars for the murder of 9-year-old Olivia.
She was somebody who wanted to say what she had to say. She felt that her reasons for doing so were justified. I think probably we would all agree and absolutely commend her for doing that.
A story of hope. How Yolanda was determined to live on through great loss. The last of our special reports about coping with bereavement.
100 years on from the famous White Horse Final, Bolton Wanderers are back at Wembley in search of silverware.
Time to get on the walking tour of Liverpool music that doesn't mention the Beatles.
And David assures me it was not a black and white photograph taken from the skies above Whitworth earlier on today. Rather grey, wasn't it? It does improve throughout the weekend. Full forecast a little later on.
Well, first tonight, the extraordinary bravery of a young woman who gave police the crucial evidence they needed to target Thomas Cashman, the killer of 9-year-old Olivia Corbell.
Cashman was found guilty of Olivia's murder yesterday. He's now facing a life sentence.
But it was the woman, who can't be named for her own protection, who told police about Cashman's sudden appearance at her house moments after Olivia was shot, which proved decisive for detectives investigating the case.
As our Merseyside correspondent Andy Bonner now reports, it's an example of how heavily the police rely on intelligence provided by the public.
Right, good morning, everyone.
It is no coincidence the police are cracking down on crime in the neighbourhoods affected by the shooting of Olivia Corbell.
It will show a real key message to the people within that area that we will act on their intelligence.
This month alone, they've arrested 15 people and taken hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of drugs, 2 guns, cash and luxury goods off the streets. This project aims to break the cycle of gang culture in and around Dovecot. And they're not alone in trying to stop communities being exploited by criminals after Olivia's death.
It was such a shocker that something like this could happen in our city, really. And, you know, people were frightened at the time as well, because it's if that can happen, what else can happen? But I think for me, you know, it's about sort of looking forward now. It's what next? It's this terrible, terrible thing that's happened. But what can we do to try and stop that ever happening again?
Keeping the community on side is key. Police say people on both sides of the criminal line helped the case.
The information that came forward from our communities was fantastic, in a volume that we've never seen before. And there was a real appetite, passion, hunger to make sure that the person who was responsible, Thomas Cashman, was caught, that the evidence was found to charge him, and that ultimately he was convicted.
This is something which has crossed all boundaries.
Peter Williams has worked in policing all his life and now lectures on the subject. He was struck by the bravery of one woman who gave evidence that Cashman came to her house after the shooting to change his clothes.
How pivotal was the key witness to this?
Absolutely crucial. We know that because they took the absolutely dramatic and major step of putting that individual into witness protection. The life she once had has now gone. She was somebody who wanted to say what she had to say. She felt that her reasons for doing so were justified. I think probably we would all agree and absolutely commend her for doing that.
Weapons Down, Gloves Up aims to steer young people away from violence.
It's make or break now, because it's just getting so bad.
It's enlisted a champion mixed martial artist to help.
The young people now with that resilience towards authority, they don't care. Do you know what I mean? But that's a matter that I can't control. I can only control what I can control, and that's each child or each young person who we come into contact with, try and change their course in their life.
The turnout on the Liverpool waterfront for the scheme and the father of Ellie Edwards, another gun victim, shows the strength of feeling in this city. It is a city that must continue to come together if it's to ever defeat the horrors of organised crime. Andy Bonner, ITV News, Liverpool.
Well, we will be back at Manchester Crown Court on Monday when Thomas Cashman will be sentenced, with cameras in court for the sentencing.
And well worth a listen, our From the North podcast. Why are guns and gangs such a big problem on Merseyside is now available from your regular podcast provider. A family from Bury have welcomed the announcement of an independent investigation into the death of their son, who was a student police officer.
Yes, Annie Gray Abraham was 21. He was working for West Yorkshire Police when he was found dead earlier this month.
His family say the force provided no support to Annie Gray. They allege he was subjected to bullying and institutional racism. His death will now be investigated by the police watchdog, the IOPC. Anna Yosef reports.
We were so proud to see him in uniform. He brought the uniform home and we all trying his hat. And he was saying, "Be careful, Mom, this is my uniform." Just feel so proud to be his mom.
Anu Gray Abraham dreamed of being a police officer, but his family say even before he qualified, the job cost him his life.
The system didn't do anything for him. He broke down in tears. He said, "I can't do it anymore. It was too much for me." They failed him. They failed. I've sent my happy boy to the forces, and look what they did. They didn't look after him at all. They did not look after him.
Anu Gray went missing earlier this month after having breakfast with his parents. He was found dead near his home in Bury the following day. His family blames bullying and institutional racism on the part of West Yorkshire Police. In one incident, the student officer was allegedly asked to carry out a search on a dead body by himself. It made him physically sick.
I never seen something like this. He was not prepared. So they said, "No, carry on." So he said he vomited first, and then they told him to do the full body search. So he did, but he didn't feel comfortable after that. So many days he was feeling it, he was feeling it, he was feeling it. That's why I'm very angry. That's why I'm going to ask so many questions. You know, why they didn't do anything for my son. He could be here with us, sitting right next to me.
Something triggered him so bad that he took this decision.
If he gets supported, he would be here with us.
He was not supported at all. He was
crying for help, and nobody helped him.
The police watchdog had ordered West Yorkshire Police to investigate themselves. They've now agreed to launch a full independent investigation after the family questioned the decision. They say it's the only way to get to the truth. West Yorkshire Police said, "We welcome the decision by the watchdog to manage this as an independent investigation." In fact, the Chief Constable had already written to them supporting the same course of action. Anu Gray's family say he joined the police because he wanted to help and protect people. They hope findings from the investigation will help protect others. Anna Yosef, ITV News.
We've had a further statement from the Abraham families. They say they are relieved at the IOPC decision. They go on, "We expect the IOPC to carry out a fearless and thorough investigation and for it to be completed as soon as possible. The family must also be at the heart of their investigation and will be seeking an urgent meeting with the IOPC investigators to discuss this further."
They go on to say failure by the IOPC to carry out an effective investigation will result in loss of family and public confidence as to the independence and willingness of the IOPC to act as the statutory police watchdog.
We move on to more of the day's news now, and a court's heard how a nurse accused of killing 7 babies and trying to murder 10 others asked a colleague if she should be worried hours after carrying out her final alleged murder. Lucy Letby is said to have injected air or fluid into the stomach of a child known in court as Baby Q, the day after doctors at the Countess of Chester Hospital demanded she be removed from frontline nursing duties. Letby denies all the charges and the trial will resume on Monday.
Oldham Coliseum will close tonight with a one-off show featuring the North West actors Maxine Peake and Christopher Eccleston. The theatre is shutting after having its funding cut by the Arts Council. Plans have been unveiled for a new £24 million theatre in the town.
The Chief Constable of the Isle of Man is retiring today after 39 years of police service. Gary Roberts is the longest-serving Chief Constable in the British Isles. He said it had been a unique and special privilege to lead the constabulary. He's served in the top role since 2012 and was the first Manx person to take on the position.
Now to the last of our special reports this week about the subject of bereavement. It's one which has prompted many of you to get in touch with your own experiences. Many thanks indeed for sharing them with us.
Tonight we're hearing from a woman from Manchester who endured the deaths of 5 of her closest relatives in 5 consecutive years. But she says her story offers hope to anyone who's grieving and sees no way out.
When Yolanda Clark's grandmother died in 2012, she couldn't have known the chain of events that would follow, the 5 loved ones she would lose.
Yolanda spoke to our correspondent, Rob Smith.
I lost my grandma in 2012, followed by my uncle in 2013. The following year, my dad died. Then 18 months later, my mum died. And then 6 months after that, I lost my brother.
5 of your closest relatives?
5 of my closest relatives.
In 5 years?
Yes, yes.
So much grief in so little time may seem impossible to survive. Yolanda Clark wants everyone to know she's still here. The administrator from Manchester says she went through emotional and physical pain, but she found hope after a single moment made her stop and cry.
One day I was trying to open my car and my key wouldn't work, and I just lost it. I sat on the pavement and I thought, I can't do this anymore. Just couldn't do it, couldn't move, couldn't do anything. So I just went home and went to bed. Stayed in my bed for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Just like you'd run into a wall?
Yeah, my body just shut down. It was too much. Everything was overloaded. And I lay in bed, I had a journal. I just put literally whatever was in my mind on this journal through the pen. And one day I was writing and a tear just dropped on the page. And I drew around the tear and said, this is a tear that dropped on the page, because I thought it was really important to remember that at that moment, that's when I cried.
Finding space to express how she felt, to talk openly about those she loved, is what Yolanda believes helped her through. It gave her more empathy, understanding for others and herself.
Well, that gives people hope. They see my story and they say, well, I can get through this. The fact that I'm moved on with my life and I'm living life and enjoying life, because you can still smile after you've had a loss.
And she's not alone. In this special series on bereavement, we've spoken to those building new lives around loss, those with their own messages of hope.
A big part of my grief was filled with guilt and shame, but then I realized that the person that I loved didn't make me feel this way when she was alive. I am not broken because I'm here standing and smiling and giving hope and support to other people. So it's not because I'm strong, it's because I'm made of courage.
While at first I struggled to feel happiness when it happened, when I got engaged, I just felt happy, and I felt the happiness my mum would have felt for me.
You're not alone in your grief and what you've been through, that there are people that genuinely care, and people want to hear. They want to hear your story, they want to sit with you, they want to share that understanding and help you get through this. It's support that gets you through this.
I didn't think I'd be able to live again, to be honest. I thought that's it. You sort of don't do anything, and I've done a list of 50 things to do because I've just turned 50. So I did a list of 50 things to do at 50. And just having something to focus on has made a huge difference. And I actually feel alive again. And that's hope.
Hope for a future often beyond sight in grief, but not beyond reach. Rob Smith, ITV News.
And Yolanda has written a moving poem about the hope she found. You can hear it on our website right now.
Yeah, and thank you to all the contributors for this special report. You can see all of these reports that Rob has done for this series and find links to bereavement support groups there too. Usual address, itv.com/Granada.
Now, let's have a quick look at what's still to come on the ITV News at 6:30 with Lucrezia.
Coming up, could Donald Trump really end up in jail? That's the threat looming over the former president after criminal charges were laid over alleged hush money payments to an adult film star. We'll have all the reaction from the US. Also ahead, former England cricket captain Michael Vaughan cleared over allegations of racism and... The crowds turn out in their thousands to greet King Charles and Camilla as they arrive in Hamburg. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
OK, on to sport now, and a big moment for Bolton fans. Chris.
Yeah, let's have a bit of Friday fun, shall we? Here's a quiz question for football fans. What trophy are Bolton Wanderers celebrating with here? I'll give you a few seconds. Now, on Sunday, 35,000 Bolton fans are heading back to Wembley for the final of the Papa John's Trophy, where they'll face another League One side, Plymouth Argyle. This was their last cup final win back in 1989. Have you worked it out yet? Yes, the Sherpa Van Trophy. There's a blast from the past. Mike Hall has some more memories for you as he looks ahead to Bolton's big day.
It's one of football's less glamorous cup competitions, but try telling that to Bolton fans. This is what it meant to get to the final of the Papa John's Trophy. Now thousands of Wanderers are snapping up souvenirs for their first trip to Wembley in more than a decade.
We're going matching, mother and daughter, matching T-shirts. We're getting
very nice.
matching Bolton Wanderers T-shirts.
A T-shirt each for my 8-year-old son and my 6-year-old son, their first trip to Wembley.
I've got my flag ready and I'm going to try and get some blue and white ribbon, I think, for my hair.
So you're really going to go for it, yeah?
Yeah, just a bit, why not? Why not? It's not often we get to go, is it?
At least 34,000 Bolton fans going to Wembley. Has that taken you by surprise?
It has, because you never really know where it's going to be pitched. I mean, the early rounds of this tournament, the crowds were pretty low, but I think we've had buy-in throughout the season, and if ever there was a landmark to show the connection between the club, the football club, and the town again, this is it.
This will be Bolton's 14th appearance at Wembley Stadium, and they've enjoyed plenty of successes over the years. From the first FA Cup final to be held at the National Stadium a century ago, when the 126,000 crowd spilled over onto the pitch, to a fourth FA Cup win in the 50s, thanks to the club's greatest ever player.
Then Lofthouse runs in for a lightning goal.
And there have been playoff triumphs too.
There's the cross. De Freitas. Now it's safe. Bolton go into the Premiership.
But you have to go back 34 years for the club's last cup win at Wembley in this very competition.
Storer chasing. He's got there. It's another one, surely, yes, from Morgan.
Yes, this victory in the Sherpa Van Trophy was way back in 1989. So a Bolton Cup lift at Wembley is long overdue. Only Plymouth stand in their way.
Hopefully we can change that at the weekend. It's going to be a great advert for League One. Two real good teams going head to head. But hopefully we can come out on top and have a great day.
Such days seemed a distant dream not that long ago when Bolton were on the verge of going out of business. But the feel-good factor is back. This football club and its fans have been through so much adversity in recent years. What will it mean to you to lead this club out at Wembley?
Everything. It means everything. Since I've come here, I see the club getting bigger and bigger and getting back to where it should be. I've been here since the start of the club coming back to itself, and yeah, it means everything, especially to lead the boys out. Something I will never forget.
There may yet be bigger Wembley dates ahead if Bolton make the League One playoffs in May. But for now, this is the only game that matters. Mike Hall, ITV News, Bolton.
Yeah, good luck to Bolton. Now, the Premier League's back this weekend and Manchester City are leaving it late to decide whether Erling Haaland will take on Liverpool tomorrow. The striker hurt his groin in their FA Cup quarter-final against Burnley and pulled out of Norway's European qualifiers. The game is the start of a big week for Liverpool, who then face Chelsea and Arsenal. Jurgen Klopp says it feels like a Champions League week.
We have to how I said, we have to show up there and really go for it. There's no other chance for us, and that makes You want to play these games. We play City, Chelsea and Arsenal every season, but in 1 week is pretty special.
I said before, my opinion about Liverpool remains the same, winning the Champions League or having a season like had up and downs. Nothing changed. Now the biggest rival is another one this season. But whatever happened in the past, this season, in the future, always will be a big rival.
Erik ten Hag says he's glad Marcus Rashford took a mid-season trip to New York. The England forward, who missed the international games through injury, flew to America for a short break, but his manager wasn't concerned about the journey, tiring his main goalscorer.
This is a crazy season, so they need also times that they can have a breather and that they can collect energy. So for me, it's positive that he took that time and so turn off from football. And I've seen him back this week, and he showed a lot of energy and a lot of motivation.
Now, we all know that Liverpool has a great musical heritage, but you could be forgiven for thinking it's all about the Beatles.
So next, we are taking a look at a new way of enjoying the Scouse music scene that is free of the Fab Four.
With Eurovision just around the corner, members of the Liverpool bands The Farm and Frankie Goes to Hollywood have set up walking tours across the city. Our entertainment correspondent Caroline Whitmore has more.
My name is Peter Hooton. I'm the lead singer of The Farm, and you should all try and join the walking tour and get your steps in.
I'm Keith Mullen. I am the lead guitarist in The Farm, and I love my city.
My name's Brian Nash, known to most as Nashia. I was formerly the guitarist in 80s beat combo Frankie Goes to Hollywood, formed a stone's throw from here. Come and I'll show you.
Peter, what have you decided to do to get your steps in around Liverpool?
Yeah, well, I wanted to do a walking tour to get me 10,000 steps per day in, you know. It's an alternative tour of the city, looking at 70s, 80s, 90s and beyond. I mean, there's lots of stuff about the Beatles in tours in Liverpool already. We wanted an alternative tour to celebrate the post-punk Liverpool music scene, which produced so many brilliant bands.
It starts about here at the Suitcases. It begins at this end of the city and we walk downhill. Obviously we're really into keeping fit, so we don't want to necessarily come up the hill because it's a big hill. And
so have you planned it so you're always walking downhill?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You're my kind of fella, Keith.
Far too old to be walking up and down hills all day, I can tell you that much, do you know what I mean? And come to Liverpool, it's windy. Anyway, Nash, over to you.
Where does the tour end?
Well, it ends in a pub. That's how Peter convinced me to do it. He said, you're looking a bit fat. You need to lose a few pounds.
The idea of walking to these venues, it's all part of the mythology, really.
Wasn't there a spat between The Farm and Oasis, famously?
We went to watch Oasis in '93, I think it was, and they didn't want us to come in because they'd slagged us off in the music press, saying we thought we were the Beatles. We didn't know that they were obsessed with the Beatles at the time.
And Eurovision's coming here in May.
We are a musical city, you know, we've got our heritage is music. We've kind of got people from all over the world coming to this city anyway, so it makes sense to have something like Eurovision here as well, you know.
In 1975 it opened as Kirkland's. About 1982, me and Peter Gill, who was in Frankie, were in a band called Dancing Girls, and we'd done some recording. Holly did some backing vocals on one of these songs, so when we came to play here, he jumped up on stage with us, he gagged in.
This is St Luke's Church, also known as the Bombed Out Church. As you can see, the true statues here, which was altogether now the song inspired Andy Edwards, the sculptor, to produce this brilliant work of art. It all will take 2 hours, and then we do end in a pub.
That's all good endings do.
I mean, that is a pretty great way of spending a day in Liverpool, isn't it?
The young'uns don't know they're born. They haven't got The Farm and Frankie Goes to Hollywood like we had.
Those guys are still very rock and roll, very cool. Here's Kerry with the weather.
Have you burnt tea again?
I'm scraping the cooled oil into the bin, not the sink.
Can we eat outside? It's nice.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather. Hello, a very good evening to you. Conditions look a little more promising as this weekend wears on. Fairly disappointing though, wasn't it, across most parts of the northwest today. Lots of cloud around and showery outbreaks of rain. West will be best as we head into the first part of the weekend on Saturday, but improving for everybody thereafter. So we've got this weak front to the west. It's lingering, it's floating about, but as we head towards Sunday, high pressure starts to build, pushing any weather systems away, and certainly until really the latter part of Tuesday, it looks relatively settled for our patch as we head into the first week of the Easter holidays. So overnight tonight, still a lot of cloud around, still some showery outbreaks of rain and drizzle, misty and murky over the hills, but towards dawn there could be one or two clearer breaks. It's under those clearer breaks with light winds that temperatures will take a bit of a tumble. 3 or 4 Celsius in rural spots, not out of the question as we head into Saturday. So there are your sun times for tomorrow, 6:45 and 7:46. And for tomorrow morning, we will see a little bit in the way of sunshine perhaps coming and going, most likely in the west. The Isle of Man best place for the best temperatures and the best of the sunshine as we head through into Saturday. Elsewhere, still a lot of cloud around, and it will tend to build from the east as the day progresses. So damp, misty and murky over the tops. But as we head into Sunday, high pressure starts to build and the air is a little bit drier. So as we head into the second half of the weekend on Sunday, definitely more in the way of sunshine expected. Highs will be around average 11 or 12, and that's the way things stay over the next few days. But nights under those clearer skies with light winds, pretty chilly and a touch of frost not out of the question.
It's a little bit burnt.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thanks, Kerry. Now, Gamal has 2 children to go home to, so he's resisting the temptation to go on a walking tour to any pub.
Well, actually, I've got a free pass tonight. It is curry night and a catch-up with the boys,
Fantastic.
which I'm very much looking forward to.
I'm back here after the news at 10. Join me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Curry night.